Howdy, welcome to all my friends out there. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. Welcome to episode 107 of Cliff Notes Lives. Let me start it off before I go any further with a big old SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love my I've got a son-in-law for the first time this Christmas, a daughter-in-law for the first time this Christmas. So I don't know, I feel like SKD TJ 143, and maybe I need to change it a little bit, but not love all my family, my friends, all the reality fans out there, and y'all especially. Thank you so much. So much fun spending yet another Monday evening with y'all. Yeah, I hope y'all are doing good. I know a lot of y'all are in school, but not this week, right? I don't know. Is there anyone who's in school that's still going on? I think not. It's the whole week, right? A lot of people who are working, even if you're still kind of working this week, it's kind of a slow week for most people, right? Unless you're working in a department store, and then you only got a few days to go, and then it'll be so much better. I hope y'all are all doing well. Let me pull up some notes here because I had all kinds of stuff I wanted to chat about this evening. I'm just happy I got my voice back. I don't know if y'all know. Well, I'm sure y'all noticed. Last week, I tried to do this show. I made it through almost an hour. Between business travels and doing Hearts of Reality over in Orlando, I lost my voice. And then it turned in from losing your voice to just a cold. There's so much stuff going around. I only shook hands with 500 people, 1,000 people in Orlando. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But I've spent the whole week fighting this thing, and I'm still a little rough. But I got my Dr. Pepper if I need to keep me fired up for this evening. So I'm looking forward to it. Let me, before I go any further, just go out there and say howdy to all of y'all right before Christmas. I love Christmas time. I love Christmas and trees. I was going to talk a little bit later maybe about some of my favorite presents and all that. But more importantly than any of that, family and friends and just getting the chance to take some time out with each other. That's what it's all about, right? And just it's not just Christmas. Happy coming up Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, which we already started. I think they started on Sunday, right? Forgive me my ignorance. I don't know as much probably as I should about Hanukkah. And on Friday, not to leave anyone out, on Friday, December 23rd, Festivus for the rest of us, right? We got all kinds of holidays to be celebrating. All right, let me give a quick little shout out. Brian Hosteller. Hi, Brian, how are you doing, my friend? Marilyn Sutherland as well. Lawrence Santiago. Cindy Heyer. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Jake the Horror Movie Geek. Well, my friends are out here. Amanda Lowe, Mark Taylor, Vicky Stone. Howdy, y'all from Texas. Howdy, neighbor. Little cold down here. We'll talk about that as well. Kiki as well. Hey, Kiki. Zachary Weiss. Zachary, my friend. Man, I'm so glad I met you. Just that much special now. Josh P. Wyatt Garrett. Happy belated birthday to you, Wyatt. Keith Franken. Mark, I think I said it, but I'll say it again. Welcome to all of y'all. I got a few notes. I try to always have a few little things here and there to remind me as I'm talking, because y'all know me. I start talking on one thing, and if I don't have some reminders, I'll spend an hour talking about the most oddball, mundane kind of thing. So I have a few notes, but that being said, man, whatever is on y'all's mind this evening, it's kind of an open session. We got a little reality TV to talk about, a little Christmas to talk about. We can talk about Hearts of Reality, whatever y'all got in mind. I am up for this week. All right. That being said, a couple of questions real quick as we go to it. Mark Taylor saying, congrats to Gabler. He played the perfect game. What do you think? Well, first of all, I hope I'm not spoiling that for anyone. If I am, apologies, I didn't give the spoiler alert firsthand, but it's been almost a week, so I feel like yes, I think Gabler played a fantastic game. Now, I have seen some people who I don't know who seemed like they didn't think he deserved it. They wanted Cassidy to win it. They wanted Jesse to win it. Well, Jesse wasn't eligible to win it. It's the way it worked out. But I've seen some people that are kind of don't seem as happy as I was. I think Gabler played fantastic. Now, first of all, the old guy won Survivor. The old guy. Yeah, I'm always going to cheer for the older guy a little bit just because I know what it's like to be a little bit older than the other folks and trying to compete on a show like Survivor or Big Brother in my case. So I was happy for Gabler just from that alone. I think Gabler played great. He started off kind of strong. Y'all remember, was it the first or second episode, the very beginning, where you had to go off to each tribe sent someone off to the island where you could either protect your vote or risk your vote. Gabler risked his vote. He was taking chances at the very beginning. It got him some power. As I talk about getting my voice back, here it comes again. He took some chances to get some power to protect himself in the very beginning. I think people forget that to some degree. Remember, then he had his idol that was good for like the first 6 tribals or first few tribals. And you had Janine looking through his bag and all of that. So Gabler played a little harder in the beginning. But then once he had a little time to protect his position, to develop some alliances, some relationships, then, as he called it, the alligator, the alligator just kind of went underneath the surface, let other people make the big moves, the big strategic decisions, and he just rode along and got to the end. I think he did great. The other thing that a lot of people forget from an end game, and he won a couple of challenges along the way. That one where he's having to hold the handle, an endurance challenge he won. So it's not as though he didn't protect himself as well. But also, he was very subtle in some of the things he did. Towards the very end, I thought one of the most brilliant things he did that I think a lot of people overlook, because I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. He made some comments to Carla and Jesse, I think. Cody and Cassidy may have been there as well, but I think it was to Carla and Jesse, where he said, man, Carla, you and Cassidy, y'all have very similar games. You know, it's going to be hard for y'all to claim credit. Each of y'all is going to be claiming credit for the same things. Cody and Jesse, it's the same thing. Y'all are both going to be claiming credit for some of the same moves because y'all have been so tight with each other. Just kind of a throwaway comment, but I absolutely feel that in saying that, I think he got Jesse thinking that, man, I don't want to go to the final, to the jury with Cody, because Cody will be claiming all the same moves I made. I think Carla and Cassidy may have been thinking the same thing as well. I think Gabler planted some of that in their minds and helped guide Jesse, especially, into that flip to get rid of Cody. So just a little subtle comments you make. And I know I did the same thing in the Big Brother house. I tried to. If you just come out and say, oh, so-and-so's targeting you or so-and-so's bad for your game, well, they're going to look at you suspiciously and think you're just trying to help yourself. But just a little quiet whisper, just a little bitty comment here and there that you know are going to get people to thinking. And next thing you know, it creates a huge division and people are getting upset at each other. I think Gabler did that pretty well. And he won the fire-making challenge when his game life was on the line. He dominated in that challenge. So, yeah, I think Gabler absolutely deserved it. I love this season. 2 seasons in a row. Marianne won last season, and I was so happy for her. I was cheering for her from day one, number one, because she had such a huge smile on her face. I met her at Hearts of Reality, and she's still smiling. She's exactly the way you see her on Survivor. In fact, she told me, she said, oh, Cliff, you're my mom's favorite. Funny how that works. I talk to all these reality TV people, and sometimes they say they enjoyed watching me play, but there's a lot of times where they say, oh, my mom or my dad was cheering for you so much. But that's all right. I'll take it. Marianne was incredibly friendly, so I was happy to see her win last season. Gabler winning this season, I'm perfectly fine with that. I mentioned on my recap of Survivor that I would have been fine with anyone winning this final thing. Gabler won it, deserved it. Jesse, man, it killed me. I mean, it is what it is, but it killed me that he didn't get to the end. He had such a story. Some of his moves, like that flip on Cody, deserved the win. So if he'd made it to the end, I think he could have gotten the whole thing, but it just didn't work out. Cassidy put him in that fire making. He didn't have a good path to get from 4 to 3, and that's what hurt Jesse. But I would have loved to see him. Now, another little thing. I've got a connection to Cassidy. I know through a family connection, the brother of Cassidy. And so, and I met Cassidy very briefly at the Survivor thing earlier, and didn't necessarily, I won't go into detail, but yeah, through family connections, I kind of have a connection to Cassidy, long distance. And, but at least I know someone who knew Cassidy going in, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I love that season. I absolutely love Survivor. they've done 43 seasons, and it still seems fresh every year because they have just a little twist here and there. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a great season. Now I'm all ready for season 44. That's the thing. Unlike Big Brother, where you just have the summertime's all about Big Brother. Survivor, you get 2 a year. So just seems like there's a constant new group of people coming in. Why is it Hearts of Reality? There were so many people I was meeting, Omar and Deshaun and all these different people. And I know a lot of people I was having to say, God, were you 41? Are you season 42? They just all kind of merged together at times, but incredible people. I had so much fun meeting all these past survivors and talking to all of them about their seasons and all of that. All right, Zachary's saying, when there's a returning player season, which castaway from Survivor do you think may get asked back? Gosh, there's so many good ones here recently. I mean, gosh, I kind of let's see who made the big impact. I could see Jesse coming back from this season. I could see Cody coming back from this season. From past seasons, Omar, I kind of liked Omar. Nasir, I love Nasir. I don't know that they would ask him back, but I just was cheering for that guy so much. Chan from, whistling all of that. I met her at Hearts Rally. I think she'd be interesting to come back as well. God, there's Jonathan Young, big old beast, Aquaman kind of deal. Yeah, you got a lot of people to pick from. I don't know how Survivor does it because, again, you have so many seasons, 2 seasons a year, so you get a lot of folks coming in. The next time they have returning players, it's not like Big Brother where yeah, they had all-stars, but a lot of times returning players for Big Brother, they can be someone who won versus someone who maybe went out pre-jury, things like that. With Survivor, I feel like they've got to have a little bit more of a theme. I don't know that they're ready for another all winners because they just had that not too long ago, but I don't know. Second chances, someone who just didn't make it to final 3 or something. That'd be kind of cool. Someone in Jesse or Carla's position that came so close and just didn't quite make the final tribal council. I'd love to see 16, 17, 18 players who we learned all about their game. We learned to love and all that, but just didn't make it to the very end. 4th place, 5th place finishers. Bring all of them back over the past, 10, 15, 20 seasons. That'd be cool with that. That'd be a lot of fun. It'd be fun. There's a part of me that likes seeing all newbies. It's not that I don't want to see vets, especially Big Brother. If you want to bring a vet or 2 back, I'm perfectly fine with it. But there's something special about having brand new people that we don't know anything about. You get to hear their stories for the first time, and sometimes you end up cheering for someone that you find out later, maybe they're not my favorite, or vice versa. You learn about them as you go through the season itself. It's hard for me to remember that Survivor was only 13 episodes as compared to Big Brother. It's 39, 40 episodes. Our season just goes on and on and on, 3 days a week and all that. Survivor's pretty quick, and yet they get so much action packed in to each episode of Survivor. You feel like you know these people, right? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm sure y'all do as well. All right, Mark's saying, what do you enjoy most and the least? Survivor, Amazing Race, The Challenge. Oh, they're different. Survivor's the granddaddy of them all. I watched Survivor. I was a huge Mark Burnett fan before Survivor even was a thing. He used to have a thing called Echo Challenge, where you'd have teams of 3, 4 people who would race 200 miles across mountains, rivers, bicycles. It was adventure racing. And he covered that. I think it was for the Discovery Channel. And so I knew about Mark Burnett before Survivor even launched. So back when they announced that Survivor was going to happen, I was like, oh, man, I love Mark Burnett. Now he's got a show on CBS. This is going to be amazing. And so certainly Survivor as the granddaddy is probably my favorite of the 3 that you mentioned. I love the strategy play, the matching wits with each other and all of that. The challenge I like because the competition sometimes are so brutal. I mean, there's challenges in the challenge that I just sit here and think, God, you absolutely would have to haul me off in an ambulance potentially because I wouldn't give up. And it's not that I wouldn't be willing to take on Fessy or whoever, but yeah, that'd be some brutal stuff. So I like the challenges on the challenge. Good name for that show. And then Amazing Race, because I've traveled all over the world. I've always been a fan of anything having to do with travel, all the new experiences and everything else. So they each have their own strength or weakness. If you ask me, I don't know. I was going to say, if you ask me which show I want to go on, that's tough to say. It would be somewhere between The Amazing Race and Survivor. Which one I would want to do the most. Either one would be pretty fun. Challenge would be fun. It would just be a very short experience. Who knows? Maybe I would prove people wrong. TJ Lavin be sitting there saying, damn, Hog, for a 60-year-old or 50-something-year-old, you're doing pretty damn good. Who knows? But yeah, I love all three of them. I'm a reality TV junkie. I watch all the cooking shows, the dating shows, the strategy shows, the home design. If it's reality TV, I guess I just like watching regular old people on our TV screens as opposed to scripted stuff and all that. Now, I like a few of the scripted shows, Young Sheldon, some shows like that, but I watch a lot of reality TV. All right, what else do we have on here? Let me a couple of things. Let me see. Vicky Stone saying, what's your most favorite Christmas gift ever? What a segue. Thank you for asking that, Vicky, because I had a few of them that I was going to talk about as we went into it. We might as well do it right now. I told y'all a story, I think, before about visiting Santa. My granddad was a colonel in the lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and he ran out and made a big deal about stopping the jets that were flying to the North Pole, and we were so excited that he stopped the jets just to get our Christmas letter to Santa. But let's talk about some of my favorite Christmas gifts of all, and I want to y'all post some of y'all's as well. This isn't just me. I'm be curious to see what, because we all have that gift or two that we always remember, right? So the very first one, God, I wasn't probably but 6 or 7 years old because I was staying at my granny and granddaddy Hog's house at the time as Santa came there. There's a thing called a silly face, and all I remember is it was a mirror, and you could turn knobs on the back that would distort the mirror, bend it and things like that. So I guess it wasn't a mirror as much as just a mirrorized metal or something, but you could turn knobs on the back, which would make your face look all, all goofy, and depending on how you turn the knobs, just like those carnival mirrors, makes you look skinny or fat or short. So it was called the silly face. And I just remember that because one Christmas I wanted it so bad. I walked in to see what Santa had left, and I didn't see it. It was like, come on, Santa, you're slacking here a little bit. And then I saw it over in the corner, and yeah, I had a blast with it. So that was one of my favorite presents. Another one I had, it was a battleship game. It wasn't Battleship, You Sunk My Battleship, but it was similar. It was the very first electronic game I had. You tried to locate an enemy sub, and it would tell you coordinates, and you had to draw lines and triangulate to figure out where it was. Should have known then I was going to be an engineer, because I had so much fun playing that game forever and just figuring out the logic of figuring out where this little hidden sub was. But it was probably the first electronic game I had. Two more. One, I loved it so much. And now it's so incredibly expensive. I wish I'd held on to it. There was a thing called Girders and Panels, and it was a little bit like Erector Sets or Tinker Toys. You had a lot of little plastic pieces that you would stack up and form little squares, almost like a house of cards. And then you had windows that you would attach to it, and you could build huge buildings and all. The one I got was the Sears Tower that, you just build this thing that was like 5 feet high. At the time, that was taller than I was. So it was pretty cool. It's called Girders and Panels. If you go out and search for it on eBay, you'll still find it out there. So it's just kind of my version of Tinker Toys, just I always loved the toys that allowed you to build stuff, design stuff. Legos, Tinker Toys, Lincoln Logs, Erector Sets, Girders and Panels, all of that. That was my go-to as a kid, building anything with anything. We used to take cardboard boxes and just build huge forts in our backyard and everything. So I love building stuff. Now, one more gift, and I actually thought ahead. So I brought y'all a little bit of a show and tell on this one. I still remember the first electronic game that my brother and I got for Christmas. And it is right here. And it just shows you how far we've advanced. PS5, no, not at all. The Odyssey. Now look, that green screen's messing up. But here's the Odyssey. one of the very first electronic console kind of games that we ever got. Here's the little cartridges that you got to play. This was their knockoff version of Pac-Man that we got one year. There's all kinds in here. Here's one. We didn't play this one as much. The game of addition and subtraction. Yeah, you know, sell appearance. Oh, we're doing it for educational purposes, but we like that Pac-Man game. But yeah, my brother and I used to play that Odyssey. Loved it. If we had had the kind of video games that they've got out there now, Skyrim, Call of Duty, FIFA. Speaking of FIFA and World Cup, we got to talk about that. But today's video games, we would have never left the house. I mean, I would have never left my seat in the chair. I just would have grown roots right there. So maybe it's a good thing. But back then, this video game, a little archaic for now, but back then, oh, it was the cool game to have. So yeah, those are just a few of my favorite gifts that I got over the years. And yeah, it was so much fun. I remember so many times because we would get Christmas. We'd open our gifts and everything, and then we had to go to church. And you're talking about the most long, drawn-out morning when you know those toys are waiting for you back home, but you can't play with them because you're sitting in church, and then after church, you got to eat and you know, be with the family and all that, which now, yeah, it's all about family. But back then I remember thinking, oh, is this day never going to end? When are we going to get released and actually get to play with the toys? I remember a few of those days like that as well. All right. A few more questions. Amanda Lowe saying, have you ever had a white Christmas? Yeah, but our definition down here, Amanda, of a white Christmas is a little less than a lot of other people. We have had a few times where it snowed over Christmas. I remember one year where it snowed enough because sometimes it comes down in our backyard and it's cool. I mean, it's really cool to see. But I remember one year where it came down and we had, I don't know, maybe an inch and a half that stuck to the ground. So it wasn't just coming down and melting. It actually stuck to the ground. I remember we grabbed the kids. How old were they? They're probably 6, 7, 8 years old, something like that. Maybe a little older. We went out in the front yard. We scraped snow off the hoods of the cars because that was fairly thick. Made some snowballs, threw them at each other. It's like 11 o'clock at night. Made some snowmen, little bitty snowmen. You can't make big snowmen here in Texas normally. But yeah, I remember playing in the snow on that particular white Christmas. And it did make it kind of special, especially for us down here. Some of y'all up north, I don't know if white Christmas has as much attraction. Y'all are probably just thinking, oh, dang, snow plows, snow shovels, things like that. But yeah, we had fun. Keith Franken said a lot of snow in Michigan with another storm coming in Grand Rapids. Yeah, it's going to be brutal for all of y'all, for us as well. It's I mean, again, it's a relative term. Down here, we don't have as bad as y'all, but it has been cold down here. It's been, I don't want to say cold. It's been low 40s, high 30s, I guess, down here. And raining, which makes it kind of miserable. So with it so cold and so rainy, I've been practicing for my next reality show, Naked and Afraid, by sitting out in the backyard naked and practicing up. The neighbors don't seem to like it that much. They keep complaining, but not about me being naked, but just me capturing all the squirrels and eating them to try to survive out there. Yeah, y'all know that's not the case, right? I always kid about Naked and Afraid because it's such a brutal show. But it's nights like this one where it's so cold and wet out there. I picture what it would be like to be sitting out there, shivering my rear end off, not a stitch of clothing on me, hungry, getting probably bitten by bugs at the same time. And I realized that would be the ultimate challenge for someone like myself who can't stand the cold. So yeah, my imagination kind of overcommits to what I think I'm capable of because I'll never turn down a challenge. But yeah, if they ever get me on Naked and Afraid and it's cold out there, if y'all ever see me on that show and it's cold, just know inside I'm cursing, I'm screaming, and I'm the most miserable son of a gun that you've ever seen because I don't like the cold. And as far as the squirrels and I have a little issue going on right now. But I'm not out there catching them. Certainly not out there eating them for food. No, I don't think so. This isn't Beverly Hillbillies down here. But we are having a little bit of a war, the squirrels and I. Squirrels, they used to be my squirrel friends. No more. No. The squirrels. I got two issues. One, I just put up Christmas lights. Did y'all know squirrels apparently really like the wires and Christmas lights? Last year, I put up all the lights, and all of a sudden, they just started turning off, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought someone was cutting the wire, some anti-Christmas, probably Festivus person. But then I realized it's squirrels that chew through the wires because there's something about them that they really like the coatings on it. So, yeah. So I didn't particularly like that. So I've got the lights up. I've been checking every night, make sure those squirrels don't mess with my Christmas lights again this year. The other thing I've got going on is I just noticed I got a squirrel up in my attic. Apparently found some little hole up along the roof line. Heard a little noise up there. I went in the attic to check. And here's a little face over in the corner looking at me. Yeah, that's not what you want to see. I'm glad it didn't come rushing at me. It would have been like something from a Christmas Vacation. Y'all remember that Chevy Chase? There's a critter in the Christmas tree, jumps at him. And yeah, that wouldn't have been great. Fortunately, the squirrel was more scared to see me in the attic. Well, I was going to say than the other way around. I didn't especially like it either, but I don't want to kill the squirrel. So I actually have got repellent that I've put up there and things like that. Squirrel better be paying attention because we're not putting up with any of that. Last year, it was me versus the killer bees that decided to build a nest at our house. This year, it's me versus the squirrels. Maybe Big Brother was best for me because obviously Mother Nature and Boss Hog just don't always get along with each other, right? I guess. I just want to be friends, squirrels, but go take your nuts somewhere else. I don't want you up in my attic. We'll see how this repels. I'll give y'all an update next week. We'll see how it all goes. All right. Ma's saying a rumor has it that 46 is a returnee season since they do 2 seasons at once and only applications on 45. 46. When did they have not Blood versus Water, Winners at War? Hey, it's been enough seasons. I guess I could see that. And I don't mind. Here's the thing. Survivor, when they have returnees, they're all returnees, right? I'm not always as big a fan of Big Brother where you have just a few returnees and a whole lot of newbies because I feel like the advantages, disadvantages are a little tough. But if they're all returning vets, well, all right. I'm curious to see what would happen. It would be fun. There are certainly people that I would love to come see them come back on the show and get a second chance. So, okay, 40. I hadn't seen that, but that makes some sense. Season 46. So we got 44 coming up in the spring, 45 next fall, 46 next spring. All right, I'll buy into it. That sounds like a reasonable assumption. We'll see. There's so many spies going on around here. It was it was tough. Hearts of Reality. I didn't want to know who won, but there were a lot of people who knew in Orlando who had won. But they were very good about not telling the rest of us any spoilers or anything else. So there's several survivors from past seasons who said, "Man, I'm loving this season, but don't tell me anything because I'm not looking ahead." And they said, "No, it's great. You're gonna love it, but it's great." In fact, I actually had missed the Jesse flipping on Cody and blindsiding him. The episode had already aired, but I was just so busy with work I didn't get a chance to see it. And I had so many people saying, "Cliff, you were just going to absolutely love this episode that was on Wednesday night. Such an incredible one." Yeah, they were right. It was a great episode. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Mark saying, did you meet Boston Rob and his running mates at Hearts of Reality? Yeah, I did. Now I didn't get to spend a lot of time talking to Rob because he, as you can imagine, he had a lot of people wanting to say hello and all that. But I met him, shook hands with him. I got a couple of pictures. I need to post all my pictures. I've just been so busy. I haven't had a chance to do it. But I met Rob, friendly guy, very friendly. I told him, I said, "Man, not only have I loved watching you play the game of Survivor, I followed your career doing a little of your poker playing as well." And I think he appreciated that also. But yeah, Boston Rob was nice. I spent a lot of time talking to Tina Wesson. Oh, she's so friendly, so fantastic. I met her. I met Jerry Matheny was there. I just barely got a chance to say hello because she was swamped with people. Troyzan was there. Bob, what's Bob's last name? I can't remember Bob's last name. Older guy, FBI Bob, who was on one of the earlier seasons. Survivor. There were some old school Survivor folks that were there. That was a lot of fun. Ethan was there. I've met Ethan before. I didn't get a chance to talk to him at this one, but I've talked to him in the past. So yeah, it was. I had a blast talking to the old school Survivor folks. Uh, it's such a big family with so many 40 something seasons versus 21 or now 24 for Big Brother. They got a few more people that are there for Survivor, but all in all, from start to finish, just nice, friendly people. Not at all like you see on a TV show. Nah, I'd say that. Most of them seem very nice on the TV show itself. You're just forced to do what you have to do to win that game. So sometimes you see, just like Big Brother, yeah, you see the more vicious side come out sometimes. But nah, I had a blast meeting every single one of them. All right, Lauren saying, did you watch a Blind Date in the 90s? Yeah, I watched some Blind Date. I actually attended a taping of The Love Connection with Chuck Woolery even before Blind Date. But yeah, those old cheesy, you know what else we watch? Kind of a guilty pleasure, middle of the night. It's a shame it's still not on. Oh, it's still on, but it's not. They don't have new episodes. Do y'all remember Baggage? Baggage, where it's like a guy or girl comes out and they have three, people that they want to date them, and they all have these horrible secrets. And I never knew for certain, are these really secrets? Or are they just making stuff up? Because some of this stuff makes you just kind of, ooh, no, I don't think I want to date any of them. But yeah, we used to watch. Was it Jerry Springer that headed that up? I think so. I think it's Jerry Springer. Baggage, Blind Date, Love Connection. Before that, The Dating Game, The Newlywed Game. I watched all of them. I watched all of them from when I was just a little kid. Back in the day when they couldn't even talk about hooking up, they'd say making whoopee, because that was a whole different, back in the 70s. Lord, if they saw the stuff that takes place on reality TV now as compared to the sanitized everything from back in the 70s, a whole different deal. Let me tell y'all a quick story about dating connections. I was on Big Brother. I've got a brother who was on The Apprentice. I actually have an uncle. I don't know if I've said this on here before. I've got an uncle who was on The Dating Game. Excuse me. Back in the 70s. You know who else was on The Dating Game? Tom Selleck. Wasn't it Tom Selleck? I think it's Tom Selleck. And he didn't get picked. Some woman sitting here saying, God, I can't believe I didn't pick him. But I had an uncle who was out in Los Angeles and went on the Dating Game. He was one of 3 bachelors that was competing for the affections of the girl making their pick. And guess what? She picked my uncle. Their prize was a trip, I think, I want to say Hawaii. I think it was to Hawaii. So they got to go to Hawaii together on this trip to see if there was any romance involved and everything, which sounds pretty cool, right? Except back then, they were so worried about people doing something that would not be considered proper, something a little illicit. So it was my uncle, this woman who had picked him as his dating partner, and a little old man who followed them everywhere they went. Sat at a table right next to him while they ate dinner, walked with them whenever they were walking out on the beach, just to make sure that nothing more than, I guess, a little peck on the cheek took place. He was their chaperone that made sure that everything followed the standards and all that. Wouldn't that be, I don't know, which would be worse? Being the person on a date with the little guy follow you around, kind of rough. How'd you have to be that little old man? Hey, we got a deal for you. You get an all-expense paid trip to Hawaii. The only thing is you're going with these 2 people, and you got to make sure they don't do anything that's going to get them in trouble. So you're going to have to kind of follow them around and play the adult. I don't know. It's still a free trip to Hawaii, right? So yeah, my family's roots in reality TV, I guess, started way back. It was so funny. After I got through with Big Brother, my family spent a couple of days out in LA just to see Venice Beach and go do all the stuff that tourists do, see Hollywood and all that. And we actually went and ate lunch or ate dinner with this uncle who'd been on the show. And so, him all the way back in the 70s till me in 2019, we kind of bookend the reality TV a little bit with the 2 of us eating there. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. All right. We've got Cindy High. Hey, Cindy, saying that was a Newlywed Game. Bob Eubanks. Thank you, Cindy. I couldn't remember. Yeah, but you're right. Bob Eubanks. If you ever go on YouTube, look up Newlywed Game bloopers. and look at some of the stuff they couldn't necessarily show back then, because they'd ask some question of the wife or the husband, and they'd answer, and then the wife or the husband, the partner would have to come back on, and they'd have to try to match answers, and sometimes people didn't quite understand the question and had some really risque, sometimes really goofy stuff. It was a fun show to watch back then. They've done some remakes, but it's just not the same as the original 70s. So yeah, Bob Eubanks was a Newlywed Game. I almost remember the music to it even. All right, Vicky saying, would you do Big Brother again? Yeah, they got to call me, and I've got to check with the wife. But beyond that, yeah, of course I would. 3.5 months in that house again, though, that would be interesting, very interesting. And then I hear squirrels taste like chicken. Well, could be, Vicky. I wouldn't know. I don't think I've ever had squirrel. At least I've never intentionally had squirrel. Now, I have traveled all over the world. I've had some interesting delicacies, so never say never. I mean, who knows? But I will tell y'all this. When I first started school at Texas A&M, I grew up in the suburbs. I mean, I just regular old kid going to school and all that. I went to A&M. The dorm I was staying at, I walk into the dorm room, the dorm hall, my first day on campus. And there's a guy who lived out in the backwoods, who was majoring in some kind of agricultural, he's probably majoring in hunting for all I know. He had gone out and caught a whole bunch of squirrels at the local park, killed them all, and had them all up on boards like a taxidermist, drying out the skins and everything else. Here I am walking into this thing saying, what did I just walk into? This guy, it's just like Jeffrey Dahmer. So I'm glad he's not my roommate. He was a very rural student, and I got to know him a little bit later, and I feel like he just did it just to shock all of us as freshmen that were coming in. He shocked me. He certainly got my attention. But yeah, I'll take your word that it tastes like chicken. I like squirrels. They seem very bushy-tailed and friendly and all of that. So don't eat my Christmas wires. Don't go on my attic. As long as you don't do that, we're on good terms. So yeah, I'll leave the cooking to Granny Clampett or something instead. All right. What else do we have on here? Ma saying, best World Cup ever. Did you watch? Or Mark. Sorry, Mark. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was a little disappointed when the United States got knocked out. I mean, I didn't think we were going to make it to the very end, but you can always hold out hope, right? I had fun while I was at Hearts of Reality. I saw a couple that was watching Croatia and Brazil play each other, and they were Brazilian, and they were so into the game. And I walked over and said, do you mind if I watch with you? Oh, no. And we watched that game, and it's just so much fun watching World Cup with passionate fans. Unfortunately, Brazil lost that, so they weren't very happy after that. And in fact, right after that, I talked to Indy from last season's Big Brother. She was not happy at all, which I knew was going to be the case. But yes, I watched France versus Argentina. Oh my God, what a game! They scored goals in the overtime, stoppage time, overtime. They scored, I think France scored a goal with just a couple of minutes to go to tie it up again. It came down to penalty kicks. One of the most exciting games. If I was Argentinian or French, I don't know if my heart could have taken it, because just as a kind of unbiased, impartial observer, it was still an incredible game. Oh my gosh, I loved it. Little story on that. I used to do some business. I've been to France, the airports once or twice, but that's about it for France. But I used to do some work in Argentina. And I remember one time a taxi driver picked me up. He didn't speak any English. He only spoke Spanish, which was kind of cool because I got to spend about an hour talking to him and practicing my Spanish, because it's a long way from the airport to downtown Buenos Aires, which is where I was going to. But as I talked to him, I found out that he was a boxing judge who judges all kinds of boxing matches, which was kind of neat. But then we actually started talking about Argentinian soccer, because they're so big, and that is their sport down there. Messi and Maradona before him and all that. And he actually took a little detour. I said, yeah, that's fine. He took me on a detour and got us into the national team for Argentina and drove me around their practice facility. It was amazing. It looked like a military base because there were so many fields, and every one of these fields was the most pristine soccer grass and goals. And it was several of these fields side by side, and all these training facilities and the dorms. This huge place set up just for the men's team to practice, to get ready for World Cup every 4 years and all of that. And so, yeah, it was incredible. They put so much focus on it. If the United States put the kind of focus on World Cup like Argentina and Brazil and some of those countries do, oh, I think we dominate. We're just not quite there yet. But yeah, Argentina loves their World Cup soccer. And I love South American. Not that I don't like the European teams, but I tend to cheer for the South Americans teams, Argentina, Brazil, some of those, because they play such a crazy, wild style of soccer. It's kind of like in basketball, the ones that do a lot of fast breaks and all that versus the methodical stuff. So, an amazing World Cup. And now in 4 years, it's going to be right here in the United States. There's going to be games being played here in Houston. There's going to be games being played just up the road in Dallas. I'm going to be going to a lot of them. I better have some. Watch, they're going to put me on Big Brother that particular year. 4 years from now, so that'd be Big Brother 28. They're going to put me on Big Brother 28, and I'm going to be happy that I'm in there, but absolutely miserable because I'm going to be asking every day what scores are for World Cup. And I already know they're not going to tell me squat. It's the way it is. But yeah, it's going to be fun in 4 years. All right, Cindy saying, met Bob Eubanks at the Chiller Theater Expo. He was sweet. I could see that. I mean, he seemed like he would be a nice guy. Now, what was he doing at the Chiller Expo? Isn't that kind of a horror type show? Has Bob Eubanks got some secret past that we don't know about? Was he in some horror movies? Was he actually the Scream character or Pinhead or one of these horror guys that we never even knew about? I don't know. I don't see him in being in a lot of horror movies, but I can see him being a nice guy. It's pretty cool that you got to meet him. He's got to be fairly advanced in years by now, right? I say it may be a few years since you met him. Well, I better be checking and see how Bob Eubanks is doing health-wise. But yeah, that's pretty cool. 84 years old. All right, there you go. See, I ask and I get the answer to me. All right, well, 84 is not too bad, right? I bet he's got some stories to tell. I'm not sure if he'd tell anyone, but I bet he saw a few things while he was doing that game. That'd be pretty funny to hear about. I'm saying, Mazza, is Banana getting too cocky? Who goes next? Olivia. Yeah, let's talk about the challenge because I'm watching that as well. For those of you who don't know, Mark says, for those of you who don't know, it's no longer ride or dies. Man, not really. Now they're in two teams. Bananas is feeling pretty comfortable. The fact that he's kind of avoided being targeted so far. He and Nani were ride or die, but now they're on separate sides. So much for that. But yeah, Bananas has done pretty well. I think it's last week he said, at this point in every season, I've usually gotten someone that I've gotten a little PO'd at me. Not so much this year. I feel like I'm floating a little bit. There's fewer and fewer targets. They're going to eventually come after Bananas. But so far, yeah, he's looking pretty good. And now he's on a team. Faisal is but he's the one who picked this team. There's some big, strong targets on that side that may let Bananas hide just a little bit longer before people start going after him. They're great. I could see Olivia going just because she was one of only two newbies on that team. And I think they didn't get rid of a newbie. I mean, they didn't get rid of a vet this week. So I think if the other team got power, they maybe would avoid going after a vet. So yeah, Olivia may be in danger because of that. But having said that, she's played a heck of a game. I way underestimated Olivia coming in. I thought Love Island, it's a dating show. She's not going to do much. She's badass. Olivia's been playing a fantastic game. But yeah, I'm liking the challenge as well. It's we've had some good seasons of a lot of reality TV shows. It's been fantastic. But yeah, is Bananas too cocky? I don't know. He's just Bananas. He's always like that, right? Incredibly nice to meet. First time I met him when I was in Orlando for Arts Rally. First time I'd met him. Super nice guy. If there was anyone who could ever be a diva, it'd probably be him. But no, very nice, very friendly, talking to everyone, posing with everyone who possibly could want it. He did a little karaoke with Mark Long, which was fun to watch. But yeah, he's a little cocky in that when he realized he wasn't going to win, they just kind of piddle paddled away and didn't even try. Which other people, if they did that, they're going to get in trouble. Bananas gets away with it. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens with him. Ma's saying, I'll send a wall yeller. I know how you feel there about with World Cup and all that. Yeah, please do, Ma. Yeah, if I'm in the house, a wall yeller, I don't know, you could just fly a smoke, one of those planes that does the smoke signals behind it and just put a US 3, France 1 or something. And yeah, they'll irritate the producers, but it's not like they're saying, Tommy and Christy know each other, right? It's not affecting the game itself. It would just be, I don't know, red, white, and blue smoke showing our score versus someone else's. I'd get the message. Yeah, thank you, Ma. I'm going to hold you to it if I'm on in 4 years. All right, Keith saying, are you through Christmas shopping? Amazon is my friend, Keith. Yeah, pretty much. I'm trying to think. I've got pretty much everything purchased, most of it wrapped. That's what we've been doing for the past week or so. I'm a salesman. That's what I do for my real life job right now. And I'm still officially working, but everything kind of slows down. You know, a lot of my clients, it's a little harder to get hold of and all that. So, yeah, evenings and all that, I got my shopping done and 1 or 2 more things still coming in. And, got one little something that I can't tell you because there may be people listening, but we'll talk about that more maybe next week. But for the most part, I'm almost done. Okay? Better than I am some years, right? I've avoided the mall so far. Have not avoided some stores, but at least the mall proper. I haven't had to necessarily fight the worst of the crowds and all that. So far, so good. All right, let's see. 7:48 goes so fast. Lawrence saying, I bet they'll allow alcohol at the Texas World Cup. Yeah, how rough was that? I didn't even think about that. Budweiser wanted to sell all their alcohol. Last minute, Qatar said, yeah, no, we're not going to let you sell alcohol. We're a Muslim nation. Well, first of all, I've been in Muslim nations that still sell alcohol. So just because they don't as religion allow it doesn't mean that they don't still like the profits that come from it. And I'm talking profits as in money and not the guys who can tell the future kind of stuff. But yeah, UAE. It's so funny. The UAE, where I've spent a lot of time, they've got some rules about alcohol and everything. Hotel bars can serve alcohol, but only to Westerners. If you're a Muslim, you're not allowed to enter the bar area. There's all kinds of rules that you've got to pay attention to. But yeah, Qatar wouldn't let Budweiser sell it. So Budweiser came out and said, all right, since we've got all this beer that's got World Cup markings all over the cans and all that, we can't sell it. We're just going to hold on to it. We'll send it to whatever country wins the World Cup to help them celebrate. Well, right now, I guess there's a couple of freighters loaded up with nothing but Budweiser beer that's headed over to Buenos Aires and Argentina. They will appreciate a few cans of beer to celebrate their victory in the World Cup. And you're right. Texas, we'll have a little Lone Star beer, a little Shiner beer. We'll have some of our local brands, and yeah, we'll do a little. So we'll bring in all the people from England and all the other countries, and we'll show them a fine old time down here in Texas during the World Cup. We'll have a little rodeo World Cup. How about that? Lawrence is saying, how often do you get recognized in public? Kind of all the time. It kind of shocks me, Lawrence, that it happens as much as it does. I mean, especially because I always wear my boots. Well, except in the summertime, and shorts. Shorts and boots don't always work so well. But other than that, I almost always wear my boots, but I don't always wear the cowboy hat. But even without it, I have people coming up. I just had it yesterday. So some people came up to me and said, I know you. It's funny. I get 2 different types. Some people just immediately come up and say, Cliff, you were on Big Brother, right? That's who you are. Yeah, it's me. And then I have other people that come up to me and say, I know you from somewhere. I don't know where, but I know you from somewhere. And what's funny is lots of them, my question typically is, do you watch reality TV by any chance? And normally, I think it's almost my voice more so than the question itself that jogs their memory. Because lots of times then they'll say, "Oh, yeah, big brother, I know you now," and all that. I never think of my voice as being that distinctive, but I guess it is because people notice it sometimes. The most funny one, I was on a jury in Houston, a speeding trial. No, some big murder, just speeding. But we had to wear masks the whole time. So my face is covered from here on down. And we go through the whole trial. When we get done, one of the other jurors comes over and she says, "I recognize your voice from somewhere. I don't know if we've met. I just feel like I know you from somewhere." And so I took my mask off, and then she knew who I was. But just my voice alone got at least her thinking that maybe we'd met at some point in time. So yeah, it's been 3 years, almost 3 years, 2.5 years, 19, yeah, 3 years, I guess, that I did the show. And I still have, yeah, every time I go shopping or somewhere, and usually it's me while I'm trying to juggle a couple of gallons of milk and some bread. And the last thing I'm thinking about is Big Brother. I'm thinking, God, what did I forget that my wife wanted me to pick up from the grocery store that I just can't remember? And so I'm so focused on that. And then someone will come up and recognize me. And then I'll spend the next 30 minutes talking Big Brother with them. And when I get home, Sharon's like, "Took you that long to get milk?" Well, there were some people there that watch Big Brother, and that's all I need to say. And then she says, "All right, I get it. I understand completely." All right. Wow. 7:52. So much fun. I'm glad we get to hang out here before Christmas time itself. I'm looking through my notes to see if there's anything else. Kind of excited. My voice is still sticking with me. I can feel it starting to lose a little bit, but we're still there. All right. All right. I got one more thing for y'all. This is the only time I'm going to be able to talk about. So I want to mention it here. Y'all know this day in history. I always do that. Normally I do it at the beginning just to get people in, but I'll mention it here because I wanted to talk about it. First of all, on this day in 1843, Charles Dickens published A Christmas Carol. Who would have thought? What was that? 167, 99, 1843? Whatever. 57, 79, 179 years ago. He published that thing with Ebenezer Scrooge and Tiny Tim and all that. Who would think that would be so popular even today to write something? It only took him 6 weeks, I think, to write it, to have such a popular thing. And, my thinking, if you're named Ebenezer Scrooge, you're just destined to be a bad, grumpy guy, right? Have you ever met someone named Ebenezer or Scrooge, either one, that wasn't kind of a crotchety old guy? He kind of set him up on that. But now, on this day, 1843, Christmas Carol was published, and all that. My favorite still a Muppet Christmas Carol. I kind of like that version. There's been some good versions over the years, but no, the one I wanted to mention. Did y'all know that today is National Harry Day? Yeah, and we're not talking Movember or anything like that. National Harry Day, celebrating everyone that's named Harry around the world. I guess Meghan and Harry, Harry Potter, Harry Styles. All. If your name is Harry and you're out there, congratulations, you get your own special day. I don't think there's a National Cliff Day. Not that I know of, but I'm going to have to do a little research. And then I'm going to have to ask my wife why I haven't been getting gifts on National Cliff Day. But can you picture if my parents had decided to name me Harry? It probably would have gotten me on a lot of reality TV shows, because how could you not put someone on whose name was Harry Hogg, right? I'm glad my parents didn't have that kind of sense of humor. Harry Hogg, can you imagine that? The name my dad actually did want to give me isn't a whole lot better than Harry Hogg. He wanted to name me Gus. Can't you picture Gus Hogg? The only Gus I know is a field goal kicking mule from the Disney shows back in the 70s, but he wanted to name me Gus. He thought that was a fantastic name. I guess if I'm a gold miner or something, maybe, but he wanted Gus. My mom, thankfully, thought, well, maybe Gus is my second choice. So she convinced him that, oh, wouldn't you much rather name him after yourself? Which is how I got to be William Clifford Hogg III, named after my dad. Proud to have his name. Means all the world to me to have it. I'm also very happy that he didn't name me Gus. It's kind of like Johnny Cash and that boy named Sue. If he named me Gus, I think my life would have been just a little bit different. There's a certain expectation from someone named Gus Hogg in terms of what they may do with their life going forward, right? Maybe. I don't know. But thank you, Mom and Dad, for not naming me Harry. So I'll just throw that there on International Harry Day. And congrats to all you guys named Harry. Perfectly nice, suitable name, as long as your last name isn't Hog. And then not so much. And if there's a Harry Hog out there that's listening right now, call me. I want to meet you if that's the case. All right, 7:56. What else? We talked about the challenge. We talked about Survivor. We talked about Christmas gifts. I think we've covered a lot of stuff so far. Let's see. Let me see some other ones. Jake said, "What's everyone's favorite Christmas songs?" There's so many of them. My Christmas songs reflect on songs I heard at special moments in my life. Like I remember when my kids were very little and they were both asleep, and we were putting ornaments up and getting the tree ready, my wife and I, and they're playing White Christmas and Toyland, Babes in Toyland. And so I remember those songs just because of the memories it carries with me. I like Jingle Bells because I learned how to sing that song in Spanish. Casca bells, linda casca bells, con sus notas de alegrías van anunciando el hey. Yeah, I know the song in Spanish. So that has a special Venid fieles todos, a Belén marchemos. I know a few songs in Spanish Christmas carols. There's so many out there. And of course, you got Mariah Carey. You can't not talk about the Queen and her Christmas song, right? And there's a lot about that. We can have a whole episode talking about nothing but Christmas songs. How come they've got so many Christmas songs, but they don't have the same amount of, I don't know, New Year's Eve songs or Thanksgiving songs? Thanksgiving, all I can think about is Adam Sandler. There are few, but not many out there. All right. With that being said, so at 7:57, we're going to shut it down because, again, my voice is going little bonkers. I must be allergic to pine trees or something because my nose has been itching the whole hour, driving me crazy as well. So we're going to shut it down. Guys, I hope y'all have a wonderful Christmas. Family, friends, don't, I mean, yes, the season is all about, the birth of Jesus and all that, but there's a lot more to it. Friends and family and loved ones. If any of y'all out there are missing friends and loved ones, it's a tough time of year for some folks. And just remember, you got friends. You got people who care about you. Don't ever think you're alone. Merry Christmas to all of y'all. Happy Hanukkah to everyone involved. Blessed Festivus to all of you. Air those grievances. Feats of strength. We're all going to celebrate that holiday as well. Main thing, enjoy the holidays. Stay safe. Stay warm because it is going to be freezing cold for all of us, even down here in Texas. So certainly stay warm as well. I'm going to be back next Monday. Until then, y'all have a great one, my friends. SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love all of y'all out here watching live and watching it later. Y'all mean so much to me. Monday nights are so much more special because I get to share it with y'all. So guys, y'all have a great one. Cheers, my friends. Bye. Merry Christmas.